morning, friends, and welcome back to another video of a day in the life of a medical student, a day in my life. Today I am still in dedicated, you guys. I'm still in dedicated study, but I wanted to bring you guys along for another day because we're officially at the 2-week mark, you guys. I am exactly 2 weeks out from today to take my USMLE Step 1. So it's so intense, so intense. So in this video, I'm going to be switching it up a little bit, still very much so studying, but a little bit of a different plan as I prepare to step into a full grind time 2 weeks. Not that I have not been grinding for the last 4 weeks, but today's gonna be a little bit different as I step into this, 2 weeks out time frame, because it's going to be very, very focused, right? So I'll talk a little bit more about that as I go into my day and talk about what I'm studying for the day and all of that. So first major difference is this morning, I'm headed to the gym. You guys can see that I'm at Planet Fitness. I am going to start my day off with a good exercise. So I'll talk a little bit more about why I'm doing that after I get out, because if you guys give me too long to get distracted and start talking, I'm never gonna make it in because I really don't wanna go in. But I'll talk a little bit more about why exactly I'm going to the gym this morning after I get out. So let's go work out. Okay, this is new, you guys. Face mask not required if you're fully vaccinated. I definitely had heard about this, but it's crazy seeing it. While I definitely do not prefer to work out in my mask, I'm going to keep it on just because the gym is such a dirty place, you guys, and while I'm running and stuff, I'll pull it down just because I literally cannot get enough oxygen into my brain. But I am going to wear it for anytime I'm just walking around or doing things that don't require intense breaths. So guys, so just finished my workout for the morning. So it was only about 45 minutes, something light, just to get the day started. So the reason why I decided to work out this morning, you guys, is because like I mentioned, I'm exactly 2 weeks out from test date, right? So this final 2 weeks is the home stretch, right? So I'm really trying to focus on my mental health and well-being, my stamina, mentally and physically, and healthy habits so that nothing external messes up my flow for test day, right? So what I mean by that is I'm gonna post a link in my description box below of a video, a really good YouTube video that I found about little tips to do in preparation for your test day. And basically what the guy in the video was saying, that the day before your test day, you should wake up really, really early in the morning and work out. And the reason you should do that is because a lot of people have anxiety the night before their test day and don't sleep well, right? Which is a real thing. That kind of got me in the MCAT too. So much is on your mind. You're thinking about how important this test is. Am I gonna do well? Am I gonna pass? Is my life gonna be over? Am I not gonna be in the career path of my choice? All of these things are going through your mind. It could really affect your sleep. You not sleep well, that affects your performance on the test, right? It's a recipe for disaster. So basically it was recommended that the day before your test day, that morning, wake up super early, go work out, right? And the intention is to tire yourself out. So go throughout the rest of your day. But we all know that when you are up earlier than usual and you do a lot of physical activity that day, you're gonna sleep well. You are gonna sleep like a baby. So the purpose is that tiredness is going to outweigh any anxiety that you have that keeps you up, and you're gonna get a good night's sleep. So all that to say, being that I am 2 weeks out from test day, oh, it's hot in here. Being that I'm 2 weeks out from test day, I'm starting to get into test taking mode. Obviously, I'm focusing on studying. Obviously, I'm gonna cram, memorize my last minute things and everything. But I'm also going to kind of transition to start preparing for all right, now get into like test taking mode, right? You got to sit for this 7-8 hour exam. Like, how am I going to get through that day? I woke up this morning, obviously, went to the gym, had a nice little workout with the intention of tiring myself out tonight, because tomorrow morning, Saturday, I take my practice test. Saturdays are practice test days, mock exams. So I've been taking mock exams the last few weeks. I'm going to post a separate video on practice exams, kind of how to tackle them, what to do, what your approach should be, all of that. So that's not the purpose of this video. However, Saturdays are my practice exam days. So one practice exam is basically a mini real like step exam, right? It's only 4 blocks of questions compared to the 7 that is on the real test. So I've only been taking like one practice test every Saturday, right? So that's only 4 blocks of questions. It's exhausting, you guys. It's like 5 hours long, but it's still draining. But tomorrow I've decided that I'm going to do a 2 practice test day. So I'm going to do like a full length day of practice exams to basically simulate the real exam, right? Because test taking fatigue is real, you guys. And as I'm talking, I'm like, oh my God, I have so much like to say about just like practice exams and these standardized tests, because it's not all about studying, you guys. And I've said this in multiple videos before, like it's not always about what you know, it's like how you can take a test. And sometimes that's the part that really messes people up. They get test taking anxiety, they get fatigued midway through, and their mind is like scatterbrained. They're not focused down the home stretch, and they start getting a lot of questions wrong, really like dropping their score. Like all of these like test taking things are real. It's a marathon, like not a sprint, right? Standardized tests are long, they're like tiring, they're mentally fatiguing, and if you are not well trained, if you do not get your stamina up for these, you know, standardized tests, it will get you, you know, you will be winded by the end of it. You will not perform at your best. So a part of your strategy as far as studying and how to tackle these standardized tests should also be getting your stamina up via practice tests, right? So all of that to say, tomorrow I am going to be doing a full length, like full day of practice testing. So in preparation of that, because it's going to be a very long day and it's going to basically simulate my real test, I am doing what was recommended. So the day before, I woke up early, I just worked out. Hopefully I get a great night's sleep tonight, and I will be well rested and prepared for a full day ahead tomorrow of practice tests. So that, my friends, is why I am at the gym. Not to say I'm not at the gym regularly, but this was a little bit different. I definitely am not a regular gym goer. I try, you guys. I try. I promise you, I try my best. I obviously still have a membership. I go about like maybe once every 2 weeks or twice. Sometimes if I'm good, I'll go like twice a week or so, but life gets you. Life gets you, you guys, especially life as a medical student. And I am definitely not the person that like prioritizes going to the gym, right? Because like it's not really like my happy place. You know, some people, they love working out. It's like that's where they retreat to find like peace and wellness. And I'm like, I'm going to a restaurant, you know, like no, that's not my happy place. That's not where I find peace. You know, it's where I can drop some pounds. It's where I could, you know, humble myself. As you saw, that Stairmaster got me. But yeah, like I am not, when I'm stressed, when I'm going through medical school especially, like I'm not thinking like, oh, like let me go to the gym. Like no, I want to go to brunch. I want to go have fun, you know. So all of that to say, I'm going to start going more. And I actually just recently made myself a promise that after I'm done with my dedicated and kind of like the worst is past me as far as like these board exams and everything, I really am going to start working out heavy. Now what that looks like, I don't know, because like I said, I'm not a super like lover of the gym. I would so much rather go to like workout classes, spin classes, dance classes, all of that. So I might have to find something like that. I even wanted to start maybe taking up boxing. I don't know, but all of that to say, I'm gonna get fit somehow. I'm so out of shape. Oh my gosh, I was dying in there. But I'm gonna get into shape because, guys, like seeing all of like the 4th year medical students just graduate really put it into perspective that like, whoa, like that's gonna be me in literally a year. And I need to look great, you know, like this is, oh my gosh, this is like by far the biggest journey, my biggest accomplishment. I want my pics to be fire. I want to look great, feel great. So I gotta start going in, you know, cause like, whew, it's just, oh my gosh, I just want it to be like everything I want, you know. And you know when you're like taking pictures for a moment and you're like, oh, I just don't like the way I look, like I wish my cheeks didn't have all that extra weight on them, like all of these things, right? So I just don't want that to be like the case for me when I'm literally like preparing for the biggest moment of my life to date, you know. So all of that to say, we're gonna get it together, you guys. And now I am just procrastinating going to study, so I guess I should go get started. So I'm going to go home, take a quick shower, and then we are going to start the actual day of like dedicated study. So let's go, you guys. Let's get this day started. All right, guys, so here we are back at my stomping grounds, the normal small group room that I have been occupying for the last few weeks during my dedicated at my school. So I'm here, I'm getting my day started. So as far as where I'm at in my schedule and what I'm doing today, so like I said, I went through an entire video, a detailed video, very thorough, about my study plan and strategy for the USMLE Step 1. Please check out that video if you have not. It gives a lot of great insight into how exactly I plan on tackling, you know, my dedicated weeks and what I do every day and all of that stuff. But in a nutshell, as you can see, I have a little schedule. Everything in pink is days that have already passed. So it's been quite a time already. I've already done about 4.5 weeks of dedicated, and I have exactly 2 weeks left until my test day. So throughout my dedicated study period, like I explained in my study plan video, I planned to review all of the content in a systems-based approach, right? So tackling the heart, the lungs, the musculoskeletal system, all of that, allotting a certain amount of days for each system. And that had me on schedule to finish all of that review in a few days, like Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I am ahead of schedule, so I have finished all of my content review. So my entire first pass of content I have finished, which is good because, you know, as I'm taking practice tests and stuff, you always know when you haven't seen something yet, right? Like if I hadn't done cardio yet, like the cardiovascular system, and as I'm taking a practice test, I get a heart question, then I'm like, dang, like I haven't seen this system yet. I haven't reviewed it. I don't remember the answer from 2 years ago, you know? So being done with the first pass of content is really refreshing because you've seen everything again, right? Like your review is complete. Now, what that means for the next 2 weeks for me is that I have now finished seeing all the content, right? However, this next 2 weeks should be allotted to really nailing home things that I'm weak on. When I think about a standardized test and you're getting down to the wire as far as time, you have to really maximize your time, right? And be efficient. Well, you should be efficient throughout all of your dedicated, but as far as getting down to the wire, like there's not many days left. I don't have time to do everything. I don't have time to see everything again. So the best use of my time would be to get points that I wouldn't have got otherwise. So I want to, in the next 2 weeks, focus on how I can get points that I wouldn't usually get, or that I would probably get wrong otherwise. So what I mean by that is, if I've identified, so I've been taking practice tests, like I said, I'll do another video on practice tests and all of that, but in my practice tests, I have identified like weaknesses, weak areas, weak systems that are just a struggle for me. Like for example, anatomy, MSK, the death of me, you guys. Like, why do we have so many bones and muscles and nerves? Like, why? And more importantly, why do I have to know them all? Like, just like, I can't even, it's so bad, you guys. Like, just doing this is like so many muscles and nerves involved that it's ridiculous. And the fact that I have to know all of that, like, oh, my pinky hurts. Okay, well, which nerve is affected and at which level of the spinal cord, and what's that gonna mean for feeling, and who cares, it's a pinky, you know, like, so all that to say, like, that's a weak area for me. What else? Like pathophys, like really understanding why certain things lead to certain diseases, like what is going on inside the cells, inside the body. That's always kind of a struggle when there's just so much to know. I've identified some weak areas in taking my practice test that would be wise for me to focus on in these next 2 weeks. If I've identified that I'm super good at drugs, well, I'm not super good at drugs. I mean, I'm good at answering questions about drugs. If I've identified that I'm really good with pharmacology, really good at identifying what drugs need to be used, what their mechanism of action is, and all of that, do you think I should focus a lot of my time on that within the next 2 weeks? No, absolutely not. If you said no, you're correct. A point for you. So what I mean is that I shouldn't focus on points that I'm already gonna get, right? Like if I've identified that I'm super strong in certain areas, that is not where I should spend most of my time as I'm getting down to the wire, because I'm already gonna get those points. I can't extra get those points. If you're gonna get the question right, you're gonna get the question right. Where I want to focus my time is on the questions that I may not get right. That's what I'm gonna be doing today, as well as for the next like week or 2 weeks. So what I call them is like buffer days. Buffer days where I don't really have a set schedule as far as content. I don't have certain content that I'm scheduled to see today. However, I can buffer it and use it for what I need. I call it like a high yield day. So things that are high yield that I'm struggling with that I should focus on. So that's what I'm going to do today. Also microbiology is another one, you guys. And if you haven't heard of Sketchy, like Sketchy, Pixarize, these are the way to go as far as resources. But I still need to watch a bunch of sketchy videos and drill those in and watch some Boards and Beyond on micro, just stupid little like details about microbiology. I always struggle with that. So that's what I'm gonna do for now. And then I'm also going to be whiteboarding a bit today. So you guys are gonna get to see some whiteboarding, which is a strategy that I use to study, to memorize, all of that. So I'll also be getting into some of that after a little bit of my content review. Another thing is that over the next 2 weeks, because I don't necessarily have specific content that I'm reviewing, and I don't have like, you know, specific videos that I need to watch for 3 hours every morning. What I will be doing, and I talked about this in the study plan video, is that I'm going to be switching over from the 2 block to 3 block a day study strategy. So basically, in a nutshell, what that means is that a minimum, I've been functioning under doing a minimum of 2 blocks of questions a day, right? 2 40-block questions. So I do 80 questions minimum a day. Some days, if I can manage it, if I can swing it, if I have enough energy, I will do 3 blocks, 120 questions a day. That's a stretch, you guys. That's been a stretch, especially when I'm doing 3 to 4 hours of content review in the morning. So now that I do not have as much content to review because I've done my entire first pass, I am going to switch over to less content, more questions, so I can see more questions. That is what I'll be doing today as well, doing 3 blocks of questions, especially as I hit this home stretch. I'm trying to see as many questions, as many clinical vignettes, as much material as possible in answering questions type of approach. So let's get the day started, and I will check back in with you guys in a bit. I am done with content reviews. So I reviewed basically today, I did microbiome. So I did like bacteria, parasites, viruses, a lot of those little nitty gritty details that you need to know about all of those things that are like super high yield that I just haven't seen in so long. So I was just reviewing some of that. And now I'm going to jump into my first block of questions for the day. So I'm gonna do my block of 40 questions and then we can grab some lunch because I'm getting a little hungry. All right, guys. So once again, I kind of want to walk you through my process for tackling and answering questions, any type of questions. I use UWorld, but I am going to go to a new question. Okay. So as I mentioned in my last video, first thing I do is read the last sentence or the last, question of the STEM and preview the answer choices. So read the question, looking at my answer choices. There is an image obviously in this question, so I'm going to look at the image first. So I would do that in my process of previewing the questions and answers and previewing any images as well. So it gives me an idea of what the heck is going on, right? So clearly we're talking about the lungs here. Clearly he has something going on in his lungs. You can see all of this. It looks like fibrotic material or something. And now I'm going to go up and read the question. As I'm reading, I read from beginning to end. I'm going to highlight important things to me. This is totally subjective. You can tackle it how you want, but everybody thinks different things are important, so you can handle that how you want. Also, I try to keep my highlighting to a minimum because it does get very busy, and I want to just highlight the stuff that if I need to reread the question, I'm just going to go back and read the highlighted parts. Okay, so older gentleman, okay, he does have some comorbidities. He was taking a medication for his rheumatological issue. That's important because there are a few drugs that cause pulmonary symptoms. So it seems as though that might be important, right? Failed to improve, does not take any tobacco, alcohol, or drugs. Good to know. Joint disease consistent with rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, well, we knew that. Chest x-ray shown below. All right. So I'm gonna click what I think is going on here, which I think is pulmonary fibrosis. So let's see. Good. All right. So, and then obviously here's the explanation, which I'm going to read. So the reason I tackle it in that systematic way is because I want to preview the question and see what's going on, right? So it asked what caused his pulmonary symptoms. Gives you a list of answer choices of causes of different pulmonary, etiologies and pulmonary symptoms. On top of that, it gave you a x-ray, which is super, super helpful. You are not always going to get images to help you out with things. So that was helpful because it gave me a visual representation of what was going on, right? So I could have probably just looked at the x-ray and answered the question, but then, go back, reread, and it reconfirms what I thought was already going on by looking at the x-ray, which was that he's on this drug that's causing pulmonary fibrosis. And that, my friends, is the usefulness of adopting some of these like test-taking strategies, like previewing the question and answer choices, previewing any images before you jump right into the clinical vignette, because it had already got my brain thinking and like the clinical side of things thinking of like, okay, what could be the cause? And then as I'm reading the vignette, I already know what's important, because the thing with these tests is that A, you're short on time, and B, they give you a lot of information that isn't important in these vignettes. Distracting kind of details and side information that is really not needed to answer these questions. So if you start from the beginning and get distracted by all of those little things that they intentionally put into the question to distract you, then your mind, when you get to the answer choices, are going to be all over the place. You might even encounter a situation in which you read an entire question from beginning to end, and in your mind, you're thinking something's going on, and then you get to the question and answer choices and you're like, damn, like it's not even asking about what I thought it was going to ask about, or none of the answers show what I thought was gonna be here. And those are two really bad feelings to have on a really important test. I think for me, this strategy has really worked in that sense of, it gives me an idea of what's going on. It gets me more comfortable because I'm already seeing it ahead of time. And I can orient myself as I'm going through the actual question to figure out what's important and what's really needed in order to answer the question correctly. All right, guys, I just finished my block of questions and I was gonna walk across the street to go get some food, but it looks like it's raining, but I don't see any rain coming down. Oh no, it's raining. Okay, so Uber Eats it is. Let's go back inside. All right, guys, so as I wait for my food, I guess I will do some whiteboarding. I finished my first set of questions. Kind of like to switch it up a little bit, you know, instead of going like back to back to back. So I will start on some whiteboarding. So as far as whiteboarding goes, guys, it's like, I never really thought I was into it until I started doing it, and maybe until medical school, when like there's just so much information that I have to get through, and it's like, you know, it helps to just have a very organized way of like writing out what you know, essentially. And it really helps me. So it's not for everyone, but I like it. And who doesn't like to like play with expo markers and like write on a board like we did in grade school and whatnot? So I'm gonna start with some of the things that I reviewed yesterday that I wanna make sure that I memorized, you know. And how I usually test myself is I have the things that, the high yield things that I need to know in my notes, like I told you guys, and I'll show you some examples. So for instance, biochemistry, you guys. It's full of cycles and processes and equations and enzymes and products and reactants and all of that stuff that's literally just pure memorization, right? So knowing all of the components of these cycles, the citric acid cycle, the, you know, electron transport chain, like all of these things that have so many moving parts, it's pure memorization. And the only way that you can really test yourself to know if you know what's going on or like you know the components is to literally like draw it out and write it. That's step one. And then you have to be able to answer questions about it, but you won't be able to answer questions about it unless you know all of those parts in the order that they go in and everything. So for example, here is my my high yield like biochem document. So I have like glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, those cycles, citric acid cycle, all of these cycles, right, and processes that I need to know. So what I like to do is I like to test myself by trying to draw those cycles out on the whiteboard, and then like I'll refer back to my notes if I need it, or like, dang, I don't know that enzyme that goes there. Like I try to do it all on my own first, and then, you know, fill in any gaps. That really helps me test my memory, test whether I, you know everything that's going on. And then once I have nailed that down, then I will start trying to tackle questions. But like I said, unless you know these processes and where everything is in the order, it's gonna be really hard to just answer, you know, memorize or answer your way out of these type of questions, because you really have to know like the step-by-step processes, because they're not just gonna ask you like, which enzyme is next? What's the product of this reaction? No, they're gonna test you like, if you were deficient in that enzyme, then what's gonna happen? And you're gonna need to know like, okay, what's before that enzyme, right? Because that's what's gonna build up. All of that to say, let's start some whiteboarding. guys, so you can see here I have a pretty full board of information. Over here I have a lot of biochem stuff, and over here I have viruses. So RNA, DNA, viruses, all of this stuff I have to remember. I wanted to plug where I got this mnemonic from really quickly because this has been game changing in medical school, you guys. So you can see it's a lot of information, and I promise you, like, it's not as much when you know what you're doing as it looks. But anyway, this mnemonic has been super helpful. As you can see, like DNA, RNA, viruses, it helps you figure out which ones are naked, enveloped, which categories they fall in. There's a bunch of little things here, like the things that have specific notes next to them are like important details that are often tested. So this mnemonic has been so helpful. So I am going to put the link to the YouTube video of the guy that made this mnemonic in the description box below. Please use this mnemonic, you guys. Like, I promise you, it's life-changing. And it's like I said, it's a lot of the unique characteristics, right, that are tested on USMLE exams because they can't test everything. So they're going to test the most high yield, the most unique characteristics that can be differentiated, right? So this mnemonic captures all of that as far as like the DNA and RNA viruses. So it's been super, super helpful. So thank you to the guy that made this. All right, guys, so back to our regularly scheduled program. I am jumping into my second block of questions for the day. So about to get that started. I got some food. I Uber Eats some food. You guys can see it's like some penne vodka with shrimp. It was so good, you guys. It gave me the boost I needed. So jumping into the second block of questions. I'm not even sure I'm gonna get to a third block today. Going to the gym this morning like really pushed me back as far as time, but I'm gonna try. This is, you know, I'll probably have to stay up a little later, but I really am gonna try to get in a third block of questions, and it's a Friday night, so, you know, this is what we're doing on Friday. As you guys can see, I manage multitasking. The playoffs got me distracted, guys, but you know, just put the volume low and work on our questions here. All right, guys, so I just finished my second block of questions for the day, and I am tired. I think the gym really did me in this morning, and it's only like 8 p.m., but I'm tired, like tired. And when studying, although questions are like kind of passive, right? It's not like content review where you're really trying to like learn information and stuff. Like, I still don't like to push through too much and force it if I'm just really not in the right headspace, because then I'm just really like not absorbing the information, and it's kind of like a waste of brain power. So I'm either going to do a third block of like lighter questions, which now I'm thinking I might do. I was gonna say I was either gonna do a light block, or just like do passive studying. So watch Sketchy, watch videos, things like that. So I think I just talked myself into doing a 40 question block of like what I call lighter questions. So they are things like well, for me, it would be like psych. So I love psychiatry, but like it's so simple for me. So psych, like ethics type questions, biostats is light for me. So those types of things where I'm literally just getting through 40 questions in like, you know, less than an hour. So that's what I think I'm gonna do for my third block today, because I would feel so guilty if I didn't do a third block after I talked all that crap earlier today. So let's start on a quick, light third block of questions. All right, you guys, so I'm finally home out of the rain, and I am exhausted. I definitely think there was something to that whole the day before your test exercise in the morning, because your girl is tired. Like, I'm ready to take a shower and call it a day, you know? So I can definitely see why that works, and that's definitely going to be something I continue to do over the next 2 weeks in preparation of my exam. So I am done for the evening, you guys. I might lay in bed and watch some sketchy or something, but very passive because it is going to be an early day tomorrow. It's also going to be a really long day. Like I said, I'm doing the double practice test, so I'm going to do back-to-back mock exams, simulating basically a full day of testing that is going to most be like my real test day. So going to be up bright and early, going to be going all day, and you know, I need my beauty rest for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, anything. Let me know where you're at in your process, your journey, your studies, all of that. Also stay tuned for the video that I'm going to do on practice tests. Super important, super high yield, and it's very relevant to any stage of the journey, whether you're in college or grad school preparing for the MCAT, whether you're in medical school preparing for standardized tests, like whatever the case may be. It's going to be super high yield stuff. So I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe, stay well. Love you guys.